What's up, guys? This is Gabe2400 coming back at you with another video. Today we're going to be doing something special. We are going to be comparing First Order battle packs along with, the Sith Trooper battle pack, of course, just because, again, I prefer to just lump those two into the same thing. Because, I mean, let's be real, like, these new Sith Troopers that showed up in the Rise of Skywalker and stuff, they were basically just an added boost to the First Order at that point. So I'll just be including them in this battle pack comparison. The First Order Executioner Battle Pack will unfortunately not be here because, well, one, two of the minifigures of the four were stolen from me, unfortunately. And then, other thing is just that, honestly, the cannon that came in that set honestly wasn't that impressive to me. But, we'll still be doing these. So, as you can see, I got the minifigures with their respective vehicles for each set. Alright, without further ado, let's get right into this comparison and review. So, to start off here, we have what was just called the First Order Battle Pack back when this was released. I believe it was in 2016. Yes, January of 2016. So, this one just came with, four simple First Order Troopers. You had one heavy Stormtrooper right here because he's got the extra magazine pouches. So, some of these minifigures, I will just let you know I modified. Like this one right here, I gave him a bazooka. Just because I figured, he's a heavy trooper carrying extra stuff. He might as well get a heavy weapon. And then, of course, you had this regular First Order Stormtrooper. And then you had the First Order Gunner and a First Order crew member. And then, of course, you had this lovely little turret right here with the stud shooter. I'm not going to shoot the stud because I'm not going to try and find that thing. It's most likely going to fall behind my desk. But, so... Now, right off the bat, just one thing I will say is that I don't like how this battle pack only came with just one regular Stormtrooper. Like, I like the fact how it came with these other, like, sort of, I guess, other personnel of the First Order, as opposed to just four Stormtroopers. Like, you get what could probably be considered, like, maybe a lieutenant or an ensign, depending on which rank structure you're using. And then, yeah, you get, like, a First Order artillery gunner, and then another First Order Trooper, but a different classification. So as much as I did like that, I do wish that maybe at least either one of these or just this guy right here had just been switched out for a regular First Order Stormtrooper. Just because, I don't know what it is, I just prefer to have as much of, I guess, like the standard class infantry for each faction. It's like the same thing with the Clone Walker Battle Pack in 2008. It just came with... It at least came with two regular clone troopers plus a commander and a gunner. So that's just one downside for this battle pack for me. Now, as for the turret, I don't really have much complaints about this. It can go 360, go up and down. Good playability with the stud shooter. I do like the stud shooters in turrets and vehicles better than I do on the personnel. Just because, I'm not saying that I hate them, but they do appear a bit more bulky, and I do prefer the regular blasters. But, well, it is what it is. So then here, on the sides of the turret, you had the little doors. Open those up. Yeah. So, open those up, and I guess probably what the idea here is that these would be things that would drop down when the turret was deployed to probably stabilize it so it didn't kick back and recoil too much in combat. And then, of course, I remember I took these out, but you could put some extra studs on the inside and plus like a control panel here, but I took that out just because I find that, if it's got to be man-controlled, it's not really that useful because then one of these guys is not available to defend the position. So I just made it, more auto turret, but of course, y'all do you. So, that's the First Order Battle Pack. So now let's get on to the next one. So, now we're on to the First Order Transport Speeder. Which this was not until, I believe, this was later in 2016. It wasn't right off the bat. But so, the minifigures that you got here was a First Order Officer. Then you have two First Order Stormtroopers, which they came with two little... vibro sword things, or kind of like those baton things that they used, that one of them dueled Finn with in The Force Awakens, but I took those out just because, again, I didn't really find them useful. I prefer the blasters, but of course, y'all do you. So then you had 2 First Order Stormtroopers and then 1 First Order Flame Trooper. So, again, as far as minifigures go, I do like the fact that they gave us an officer. So that now you can actually have a commander with your troops. That's always one thing that I like about battle packs, when they put an officer or a commander or some sort of higher ranking trooper in there. Like with the Clone Troopers and Droidekas battle pack. As much as that wasn't a good army builder, I like how they gave us a clone NCO. So that way, you know, you have someone, a sergeant, to take charge of your clones until, you know, the Jedi arrive. So, and then, of course, we got these shields that the same stormtrooper that dueled Finn with, that he used with his blaster before throwing it down. But I do like that. I like how they gave us those shields, because then you can give an extra challenge to your resistance troopers by having these guys like cover their squads while they're advancing with their shields. So I do like the fact they threw that in there. However, I'm not a big fan of the First Order Flame Trooper. Now, just because they only gave us 1 in this battle pack, and I feel like they could have at least either 1, spared an extra First Order Flame Trooper to give us a battle pack of 5, even though I know it's breaking convention, or 2, they could have just gotten rid of the officer. However, there is a big trade-off with what I just said, because, see, at the same time this battle pack came out, there was also the First Order Troop Transport, which was the ship with Captain Phasma and 2 Stormtroopers, 2 Flame Troopers, and the one with the door that went down at the front. And see, it came out at the same time that set came out. So essentially they expected you to pick up this battle pack along with that transport to get 3 Flame Troopers. But that First Order transport was, at least where I went, it was about $80. So maybe some of y'all got lucky and managed to get it on a sale day when it was much cheaper, but on my end, that was not the case. So that's just one thing that I didn't enjoy. Like, you either get rid of the officer to get 2 Flame Troopers in a battle pack, but then you have to buy, like, Kylo Ren's shuttle to get a First Order officer. Or you put the officer in there, and then you have to buy this, and then a $70, $80 First Order troop transport for more Flame Troopers. But, I mean, hey, it is what it is. Again, this is my comparison and review. So, I'm pretty sure y'all's opinions differ. Just let me know what y'all think down in the comments. So, here you have the transport speeder, which, so here you got the little glass at the front. It does not make it into a seesaw. So they just go down like that if you want to, and I do like the fact that the connection is very sturdy still. Like, they don't just go up and down very easily. So then, one thing that I don't like about the speeder is that it's very compact. So, now, you did have, see, what you could do is, so you put the First Order officer in the front, right? Here, I'll put him in the front and not drop him. My bad. So, you put him in the front, and then you can put your troopers on the side. So then you had these holders for their shield. So let me just... He didn't really want to let go of his shield, and as a result, I dropped it. So then you put the shield right there, which that's kind of cool. You have a little protection on the side. But then, when the time comes to fit this dude here... just look how much he's struggling. He can't even sit down because this tank on the back on his back is so big, and then this guy has to lean forward a bit because he can't really fit and stand up all the way with the First Order Flame Troopers' big old flamethrower tank right there. So that's just one downside for me. Like, I do think that they could have made that at least a bit more compact. So I'll probably try and modify that at some point, just so that way I can actually fit all 4 of these guys in here and have it be reasonably comfortable. But on the same side, one plus side for this set for me was the fact that they had all the room for the weapons. So then that way, once you take your First Order Stormtrooper off, you can put, you know, their blaster, their shield, or even their clubs right there. I'm calling them clubs, batons. I don't know what they are. One of y'all can tell me in the comments below what they're supposed to be. And then, of course, you got the little rear defense right here, which I do like that. I think that's always a plus when it comes to a vehicle. Has having a little bit of a defense on your back end. So, that is the first order transport speeder. Now moving on to the final contestant. The Sith Trooper Battle Pack. So, right off the bat, I'm just going to say you kind of have the same trade-off with the first order transport speeder, that being the officer, but then it replaces just having another regular Sith stormtrooper, because then you get two of the more specialist troopers, I guess, you know, the jet troopers, and then you just have one of these guys, so you got to pick up two just to get two regular stormtroopers. You know, I picked up two of the first order battle packs, the one with the turret, just so I could have two regular first order stormtroopers to start my first order faction. But that's just me. Again, I'm pretty sure some of y'all watching this don't really care about that, but it's just my, of course, opinion and review. So, however, despite that trade-off, I will say that I like this minifigure selection the most. One, just because I love the red and black color scheme. That was at least one little plus for me in the Rise of Skywalker movie. I'm not going to do a movie review right now, but that was at least one thing I liked, the red and black color scheme. And what I was talking about with the Flame Trooper, right? All right, the jetpack on this thing, so much more compact and easy. Just finally not so bulky and taking up so much space to where the minifigure can't sit down, one, or two, needs 3 spaces to sit down because their jetpack, you know, blocks them from sitting like on the back seat or something. This one right here, well, since the blaster came out, so one, you can put their blaster in the side right there, and then you can just put the minifigure, gotta move his arm up a bit, you can put them right there in the speeder, just like that, and the jetpack doesn't get in the way of him sitting down or anything, so we can enjoy a nice ride into a battle, of course, I'm assuming, but whatever. And then, so the officer would either, I mean, in the box, the art, they show him right here, but, of course, you can do what you want. You can take the blaster, put it right there in the holder, and then put the officer right here at the front. You know, manning the front gun. Only downside to this, however, to this vehicle, that I would say is just the fact that you can only have a gun in there for when you take it from one of your minifigures, or you need an extra stud shooter. If you have spare stud shooters, just put that in there so that way he could still hold on to his blaster, and then the speeder will still have some defense even when he's out of the speeder and taking his weapon with him. So that's the only downside. And then, of course, another big minus for me is just the fact that there's no back defense. Like, honestly, I probably might modify this a bit, take out this little piece right here, put a stud shooter on the back, just because, again, I think it's good to have some back defense. But it's alright. I do kind of like the sleekness of this speeder, and the fact that it's not as compact as the first order transport speeder. For the most part, you can fit your minifigures in here without difficulty, although you do have to kind of put the officer up close to his blaster to put the, say, something like the first order stormtrooper, or Sith trooper, excuse me, that was my bad. So then once you do that, then again, you can take the blaster and put it on the other side, and I just fired it off. Alright, y'all, my bad for that mishap. I just had to find that stud real quick. So then this is what it looks like when you put all your troopers in there. So a bit more of a better layout than the first order transport speeder, in my opinion. But, of course, keyword being my opinion, I do think that these two being too close like that makes them vulnerable, of course, to enemy fire. But, see, again, as far as this goes, like holding all your minifigures' weapons and then being able to put all of them in there, aside from this guy who has to hold on to his gun, you know, while the speeder is moving, like, this is just a perfect blend of compactness, being sleek, and then having room to put all your minifigures' weapons while putting the minifigures in there themselves comfortably. So that is just the Sith Trooper Battle Pack. Alright, so there we have it. The First Order and Sith Trooper Battle Pack comparison. So I'm going to say, as far as the quote-unquote winner goes, I'm going to have to give it to the Sith Trooper Battle Pack, both in minifigure choice and in vehicle design. As far as just the vehicle in general, because, I mean, yeah, you have the turret, but you can't really transport your minifigures in there. Like, the idea behind this battle pack was more an already established position of the First Order, and as opposed to them being transported to counter an enemy offensive. First Order Transport Speeder, I like the... Oh, I forgot to give that guy back his shield. But First Order Transport Speeder, I like the fact how it can hold most of your weapons, but again, my poor little guy right here is suffering. As for this one, again, compacted jetpacks, and honestly, just a cooler looking design. Although I will say one little downside for me is that if you look close enough at the Sith Stormtrooper, the little center part right there looks like a zip-up thing. Like a zip-up helmet. But aside from that, I will say that the Sith Trooper Battle Pack takes the cake for me. I just like the vehicle sleekness as well as the minifigure selection. So, post your comments down below. Let me know what you think of this review and comparison. Again, please let me know what y'all think is your favorite battle pack of these three. So, I hope y'all enjoyed, and I'll see y'all in the next video.